can I welcome everybody to the final day of the King's speech today, and also welcome the words from the Shadow Home Secretary about the excellent ministerial team we now have in the Home Office, and also his support, continued support for the Defending Democracy Task Force that I know he and his Shadow Security Minister took immensely seriously when they were in government. I can tell the House we will be meeting later this week for the first meeting after the election in order to review some of the issues that I know have affected members right across this country and are extremely serious about what happened during the election. And how we, all of us, need to respond to stand up for our democracy. You wouldn't think, though, to listen to the Shadow Home Secretary, you wouldn't think he'd just spectacularly lost a general election, when apparently under the Conservatives we've just all had it so good for such a long period of time. But I am glad to see him enjoying opposition so much. Long may it continue. It is, though, maybe the final day of the King's speech debate, but it is, of course, only the beginning of the Tory leadership hustings. The Shadow Home Secretary's name is on the list. We look forward to his launch, maybe later this week. Very exciting. As someone who has unsuccessfully stood for their party's leadership in the past, I do have some sympathy with his predicament. It's not only that he is only the fifth favourite in the bookies. He's not even the leading candidate from Essex. He's not even the leading candidate from his Shadow Home Office team. But I have some bad news for both the Shadow Home Secretary and the Shadow Security Minister. Their chances have been dealt hammer blow by that strategic brain for the Conservative Party, the deputy leader of the Conservative Party, who was elected in 2015 at the same time as both of them, and who was asked, "Who are the stars of your generation?" And he said, "There's only two people from my generation that I could see leading the Conservative Party, Rishi Sunak or Vicky Atkins." How disappointing is that, Mr. Speaker? Discounted by the great election guru of the Conservative Party even before they started. I will give way on that subject.
Just for expectation management, when is she actually going to start talking about her portfolio?
Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Shadow Home Secretary, I think, has actually spent his entire speech not actually talking about any of the real challenges the country faces, but simply playing to the backbenches of the Conservative Party with a fantasy leadership application speech. And what is it about these former Home Secretaries and former Home Office ministers? Do you know there's apparently 7 of the last 7 Home Office ministers in Cabinet? 6 of them are apparently running. We've got the former Home Secretary, the former Home Secretary before that, the former Home Secretary but one before that, which strangely was actually herself, because never forget it is possible to be sacked from the same job twice. The Home Secretary before that, and the former Security Minister, and the former Immigration Minister. And they have quite a record between them. They have trebled net migration. They let boat crossings hit a record high this spring. They decimated neighbourhood policing. There are 10,000 fewer neighbourhood police and PCSOs on our streets. They let record numbers of crimes go unsolved, bust the Home Office budget by billions, and yes, spent £700 million sending just 4 volunteers to Rwanda. So if they are now lining up to do to the Tory party what they've already done to the Home Office and the country, well, frankly, they deserve each other. And every one of them championed that policy on Rwanda that the Shadow Home Secretary, to be fair to him, did notoriously describe as batshit crazy. Well, maybe that's what you need to stand to be the Tory leader right now. And we have heard, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that they are going to run this contest until November. We've got 5 months of the... Oh, does the Shadow Home Secretary want to deny having ever described the Rwanda programme and the development partnership as batshit? Because I will give way to the right honourable member if he would like to.
More than happy. If she wants to say when and where and to who that was said, then carry on.
So I think he's the one that said it. So I think he's the one that will know. I mean, if he wants to deny it, I won't say it again, honestly. I will not say it again if he wants to deny that he ever said it, but I think he does protest a little too much. The sort of wriggling here. This is obviously not he would not do very well under interrogation. Right, look, this we've heard today, this contest is going to run until November. We've got 5 months of this. We've hardly got any Tory MPs here because they're all off doing their little chats and meetings. It's like a cross between Love Island and The Jungle. You've got Rob and Suella have broken up, and now John's gone off with Kemi, and everyone's looking over their shoulder for snakes and rats, and apparently somebody's had a nervous breakdown, and that is probably all of their backbenchers dreading getting a little text saying another candidate wanting for a chat, and you can just see it. Look at them on there. They're all of them really saying, I'm a Tory MP, get me out of here. And that is exactly what our Labour MPs have just done. They've got a lot of Tory MPs out of here because the country is crying out for change. For what the Prime Minister has described as a decade of national renewal on our economy, on our public services, and on our relationship with the world. And on politics itself, bringing politics back into public service again. And I'd say to all honourable members, on my own side and on the opposite benches, when it comes to restoring Britain's sense of security, public safety on our streets, secure borders, confidence in our police and criminal justice system, I will work with everyone to do that. Yes, I will repeatedly challenge the Conservatives on the legacy that they have left us with, because the damage is serious, and I think they have been hugely reckless with the safety of our country. Yes, there are other parties where our approach and our values may be different, but I also think there are important areas where we should be able to come together in the interests of change, in the interests of our country, in the interests of our communities and our security, because that is what public service means. And that's what this Labour government's determined to do. We have 3 Home Office bills set out in the King's Speech on crime and policing, on borders and asylum, and on security. And I want to cover each in those issues in turn. Starting with the safety on our streets and the confidence in police and the criminal justice system. Everyone should have fresh in their minds concerns that constituents will have raised during the election campaign. And I do fear that at a time we have 10,000 fewer neighbourhood police and PCSOs, confidence in policing has dropped. We've got street crime and knife crime surging in towns and in suburbs, not just in our cities. Shoplifting has become an epidemic. And these are the kinds of crimes that really affect how people live in their own communities, and yet too little is being done.